Here's one from Michael McClanahan. Will Bruce please tell the story of when WWE went public and the logistics of getting a ring on Wall Street?
Wow. So we actually went public with NASDAQ. The ring on Wall Street is when we moved from NASDAQ to the New York Stock Exchange. And Vince came in to my office on a Thursday, and I believe that it was going to be a Tuesday or a Wednesday that we were going to go and be on the New York Stock Exchange, ring the bell on the stock exchange. And Vince wanted to put a ring in the middle of Wall Street, shut Wall Street down and put a ring there and have matches at noon. Huge spectacle. We were going to go live on the WWF network. Not network, .com. So WWF.com at the time. We were going to go live. It's before streaming and all that good stuff. So it's like, okay, cool. And I thought he was just kind of like telling me this so that I knew that, okay, we need to put together a show. We need to come up with something. But what he was telling me was, hey, I want to do this, get it done. And as he's trailing off, he goes, and I want a bear. I want the Rock to wrestle a bear. That brown up bull versus the bear. An honest to God living wrestling bear, which used to be an attraction back in the day. So scratching my head, I'm going, okay. So I called someone in our office that dealt with that type of logistics and how do you get a street shut down in New York and so on and so forth. And the answer I got was that Wall Street had never been shut down like that in the history of Wall Street. You can't shut Wall Street down. Doesn't happen. So, well, Vince wants to put a ring up. Vince wants to have this event when we go public or when we go to the stock exchange. Like, Bruce, I don't know that can be done. Well, it's not about if it can be done. It's what do we have to do to get it done? And we got it done. Pulled a lot of strings. We're able to get the stars lined up. Clinton was the president at the time, and Clinton was actually speaking in a hotel 3 blocks from the stock exchange.
Oh my God.
So there were already roadblocks in place and a great deal of security already. So while you would think that would be a hindrance, I think that kind of helped us in that they were probably going to block off that area anyway. And so we got the other end of it blocked off because it only made sense. And, you know, a lot of things fell into place. Very, very fortunate. But it was by the hair of our chinny chin chin. And it was there. No was not an acceptable answer. The bear, thank God, was reconsidered on several fronts because, first of all, you had the animal rights activists that would probably not look kindly on a wrestling bear, even though the human rights activists are the ones that probably should have been alarmed at that, having a bear manhandle a man. Because trust me, the bear always goes over. The other part of that is that there weren't a plethora of bears, of working bears anymore in the United States of America, believe it or not. However, there was the bear man who lived outside of Toronto. And we were able to get in touch with the bear man, and he wasn't sure whether or not he could get his bear across the border. And I said, well, we can work on paperwork, whatever it is you need. But he goes, oh, yeah, no. I goes, we still have the bear shows up here where we do. He goes, I wrestle him every night. He's a hell of a worker. You know? So I said, can you go ahead and let's have you en route now to be here so we know you're in the States and we know that you're within the area. I think there's still some other things to take in consideration, but I'd rather have you because I looked everywhere. Bears Are Us, they were out. I'm like, you know, where do you want to do it? I can get one in Toronto for you, eh? But Yeah, Bears R Us were clean out of Bears.
Man,
And
don't you hate that?
I do. You would think any place when you look up Bears R Us, you would assume they got bears.
Right?
Right. Just they got a Rolodex, man. They go, okay, well, you need that bear. We need a New York bear. Okay. Kind of like you had your Southern Bears. Nick Adams ran the Southern Bears down there out of Texas, out of Amarillo. He had Bear, he had Victor. And then you had, there was another guy out on the West Coast. And then there was the guy up in Calgary who had a bear. And then there was the bear guy in Toronto. I think there was a bear guy in Atlanta or outside over there on the East Coast too. Quite a few bear guys. You got to know your bear guys. You got to know your bear guys and your little people guys. So anyway, is we're getting closer to this, the idea becomes, it's like, well, do you really want a bear hanging around on the New York Stock Exchange the day that your stock goes public? Well, the bear was out today when WWE went on the New York Stock Exchange. No, you don't want that. You want the Brahma Bull. You know, it's a bullish market, not a bear market, for God's sakes. So we had a Brahma Bull, and we didn't have any bear hanging around there. So it was interesting, but we were able to get it done, jump through hoops and got it done.
Patrick Ruth wants to know, Bruce, Mick Foley once told me Vince let Foley and Triple H plan out their Hell in a Cell match. Was there ever a worry about things going too far again? Or was it simply let Mick do whatever he wants to do in his quote unquote last match?
More than anything, it was let Mick do what Mick would like to do within reason. So if it made sense and it wasn't too over the top, then I think he was amicable to just about anything they wanted to do, as long as it was safe and wasn't too crazy.
Mike wants to know, hey, Bruce, when timing out shows, do you have a list of segments that could be cut in case other segments go long, or do you just deal with it as it comes?
No, it's a great deal of planning that oftentimes goes awry when things go heavy. But later, you know, it used to crack me up. The answer to your question is yes, you always have to have collapsible segments. You always have to have something that can be condensed to help you get to where you want to be at the top of the hour or the 30-minute mark, wherever you want to be at what time of day that you want to be there. So yes, you have collapsible segments that you can place in that could either go 7 minutes or they could go 3 minutes. You just have to build that in. As time went on and WCW started with their overruns, because the owner of their company owned the network too, they could go 5 minutes after us, and people changing the channels off of us, man, they're going to go over there. Well, hell, they're still on. I'm going to go check this out. And that would help them in the ratings, because it's another quarter hour to tack on to the show. When we started getting the overruns from USA, after a while it became, well, I don't need to fudge that much, because I know I had that overrun. I had Pat on the backside. So while I needed to be at a certain place at that 10 o'clock hour, the rest of it, pretty much that last segment could go 20 minutes if we needed it to. We didn't have to hit a time per day. And that was a luxury. But after WCW went away, and especially when they first went to 3 hours, and I wasn't there at the time, and I would watch, go, you don't need this overrun. You don't need to go over at this point. It's 3 hours is enough. And even at 2 hours, when you did it every week, it didn't become special. And after a while, it just became the show ends when the show ends, which is hey, look, man, from a production standpoint, nice luxury to have.
The follow-up question from Mike, who was the most notorious about having their segments and matches go too long and it made your head spin?
Rock could talk, and Rock would go on forever and ever and ever.
Rock's
Uh,
promos were too long, and Shawn's matches.
Shawn never. Oh my God, Shawn, I could set my watch by.
Really?
Oh yeah, Shawn Michaels was absolutely I would put him down as probably the absolute best.
Why was Jeff Jarrett's match cut at WrestleMania 10?
Oh well, that was at a pay-per-view. That wasn't a television.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, though.
Well, yeah, that was a combination of the Quebecers and those guys going way heavy, Sean Razor going heavy. That was a combination of a lot of things that night.
So whose matches went too long? We know Rock talked too long. Was there a guy who went too long match-wise?
Match usually it was promos that always put us in a precarious position.
There was a story going around a few years ago. There was a big independent pay-per-view, and a bunch of pals put it on, and one of the guys went way long. And supposedly they sent every sort of signal they could through the referee, through the ringside announcer. Apparently even the producer came halfway down the ramp and yelled, "Go home now." And of course he just kept going because he had in his head exactly what he wanted to do. And as a result, the main event had just a handful of minutes. Do you remember there being a situation like that, whether it was TV or a pay-per-view, where, man, this guy's just not listening. He's just going to do what he wants. So he just got to grin and bear it.
Yeah, but you know what? Then you also have the control of just cutting the match off, ringing the bell. Well, this one's the time, let it drop. Stranger things have happened. There is actually on Championship Wrestling, the syndicated television show from many, many years ago, Gorilla Monsoon, who the gorilla position is named after. Gorilla would time out the show. Gorilla would sit behind the curtain, and Gorilla would time the matches and time the cues and everything. And if you went too long, and this actually aired a few times, Gorilla would come down to the ring, stopwatch around his neck, and slap the mat. Go home! The guy's attention to. And they just aired. Oh, can you imagine you're a fan, you're watching this, and there's Gorilla Monsoon in street clothes with a stopwatch around his neck, slapping the mat, yelling at the two guys in the ring. What kind of angle is this? Good shit. I never did that. I've done pretty damn close to that sometimes, where I've asked and requested for folks to get out of the ring. But most of the time, the biggest issues are usually on promos, and every once in a while a match.
Talk to me a little bit about Kevin Eck. Lauren Eason wants to know any stories or memorable moments with former WWE writer Kevin Eck. Am I saying that right? ECK Eck?
I have no idea who he is. He must have been there when I was gone. I don't know who he is.
Fernando Diaz wants to know, we know how Michael Hayes likes to remind Bruce about how many times he sold out the Superdome. Is there anything that Bruce has done that Michael Hayes hasn't? And don't say you're Karate Black Belt Hall of Fame. Hey, you
sold out 4-time Black Belt Hall of Famer.
Sold out the Garden.
I did sell out the Garden.
I don't
know.
Why didn't they go with that? You know, we talked once upon a time on the Mr. Perfect episode that you guys tried Perfect and Hogan at the Garden, and it was the rare occurrence where, you know, Hogan on top didn't sell out Madison Square Garden. So therefore he didn't maybe get an opportunity to have a big time run with Hulk or headline WrestleMania. But in hindsight, you did. Man, Brother Love versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. Come on.
Hey, exactly, man. That's the big question that I think everybody's asking themselves right now is how in the hell could we have missed that one?
You got to ask that to Vince tomorrow. Like for WrestleMania 6, tell me the truth, Vince. Wasn't I the backup plan for Warrior?
Well, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, you know, I should have been. You know what? I'll just make it up. Hey, Conrad, I was the backup plan.
Backup plan.
I was the backup plan for WrestleManias 5, 6, and 7. Actually,
let me just go ahead and tell you, moving forward, we are always going to refer to it just like we say a fresh paint of coat. I can't even say it normal anymore.
The black up pan.
It's a black up pan. Man, we gotta have a black up pan.
Black up pan, by God.
I love it. Efren wants to know if Pat Patterson were a whammy on Pressure Luck and he took all of the contestants' money, what would that sound like?
Okay. You will need to translate that to me because I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
There was a show, right? It's a game show on TV back when you were younger, man. And they would have an opportunity where things were on a board and they would go, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, stop. And so things would be revealed. And if it was a whammy, then they got wiped out. It was like hitting bankrupt on the Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
Well, so
what's the question again?
This is Efren asking you to do speak and spell for Pat Patterson. Just make various Pat Patterson noises.
Unauthenticated chance. I don't whammy. Fuck you, whammy, man. The base. It's just the big and the fucking whammy. You come in and that shit takes $10,000. Fuck that shit. I got your whammy.
You know, I know we don't talk about current stuff, but I think this is allowed. What'd you think of Pat Patterson's portrayal on Young Rock?
The guy sounds like Pat.
He does a great job.
He does an awesome Pat, man. I thought it was fucking great. That they have to get the joke, which already 2 weeks in is old.
Yeah.
But here's my point on that is that it personifies Pat.
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks it's old. After like 20 minutes, it was old. Back then. Hey, Conrad.
He loved it though.
Conrad.
Yeah.
You know who's asking about you the other day?
Who?
Nobody. Hey, you get it? I said, and you said who? I said nobody, because you think I'm asking. You know how to pace, because you think I'm talking. I'm gonna say, hey, Bruce was asking, but nobody's asking. Jet pace. You do want some French fries?
I knew you were gonna do.
Jet pace. Put it food.
Royal Rumble 2017.
Hard conversation with myself.
And you know what? We got it and we understood it. Royal Rumble 2017, company hotel, sitting at the bar. And Rick's on my left, Pat Patterson's on my right. And he says, Conrad, let's get some French fries. And I was like, nah, I don't really like French fries. Boy, he thought that was the funniest line he'd ever heard. Fuck you, you don't like French fries. And he does
You put the mashed potato, but then you deep fry them. You put the ketchup and a little salt and a little vinegar, and of course you did the boo. We'll get some dessert later too.
A wrestling historian wants to know if Eddie Guerrero and Shawn Michaels had happened at WrestleMania 22, who would have won that dream match?
Oh man,
Eddie.
Would have been just one.
Right.
I think that would have been one of the just an unbelievable great program full of a lot of classics along the way, and really wouldn't matter who'd win.